There we go. Welcome to it's July already, but the first meetup of 2021. Hopefully, this new platform, we don't have any technical difficulties, so bear with us if there are any issues. But today, Roger is going to be presenting on using Github Profiles. So just in case you don't know who we are GDG Kansas City. My name is Jay Whitsitt. Roger is also an organizer and is presenting today. And Barton and Rachel are also some organizers, but they couldn't make it today. We present on really any topics, but typically around Google technologies. Today is one of those examples of a non-Google technology, but a lot of times we'll present on things like Android, Firebase, Flutter, typically been a lot of front-end stuff, but any of those topics we try to present on. And all of our meetups are posted. Right now they're being posted to meetup.com. We're not sure if we're going to continue that going forward. And I actually forgot to put the link to the new platforms website on this, but gdg.community.dev is that website. And I'll be sure to update anywhere you would find us to include that link. And we also typically tweet about any meetups that we have. If you want to talk either during or after the meetups, we do have a Slack channel. That is slack.gdgkc.org. That website has just an auto inviter that you can sign up with and get access to our Slack. We also have Facebook and the GitHub. Those aren't used as much, but you can find us there too. So without any extra fluff, we'll just get right into the presentation. So Roger, I'll let you take it away.
Although it's not, personal leadership, that last slide, it's kind of funny. All right, so hello everyone. I'm Roger Odell. Just a little bit about me before I bring up my slide deck here. My primary development path has been in the Android side of things, but for the last 2 to 3 years, I've been an instructor for SnapIT Solutions. I basically teach primary languages like C#, Java, Python, HTML, CSS to people who want to change their career path and sort of move from whatever they were doing before into IT. So I spend a lot of time working with students, working with just aspiring developers that want to get into the field. And one of the things that can help a person stand out, even people who have been in the industry before, is using their GitHub profile. So that's kind of where we're going to go today. And we're going to talk about these GitHub profiles. Now, just to kind of elaborate where we're going to be going, we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask you which one looks better. I'm going to give you 2 different GitHub profiles. I'll talk a little bit about how we can change our GitHub profile so that way we can enhance it. And once we enhance it, we can actually add it into our LinkedIn so aspiring recruiters or companies can actually see our GitHub repo profile and kind of get a sense of the stuff that we do. And then I'm going to take the one that doesn't have anything in it and we're going to build it. So I'll start with this. Here are 2 GitHub repos of mine. Which one do you think looks the better one? The normal one or the enhanced one? Put a 1 or a 2 in the chat there. Let me know which one do you like? Which one looks better? I'm looking down because that's where my chat is. Sorry. Enhanced. Yeah. So let's take a look at that one real quick here. Let me just exit out and pull up So let's just sort of look at this. This is sort of an enhanced GitHub profile. You can see I have a banner here. I have some text that I put in. And I have a few things here, which are kind of neat. And I'll show you how those work. But it's very, very basic. I didn't put a ton of work into this one because I just wanted you to see a little bit about what you can put into it. So let me go back in here. All right. So how do we change it? Well, you can create a repository in GitHub, but for the name, you use the name of your GitHub account. And what'll happen is it'll have a little pop down, and we'll see this in the demo, where it said that you unlocked a secret. And then you basically make sure that it's public and that you have your README file checked. Once you can do that, you can either edit in GitHub or you can edit with something like VS Code. And I have a reference link down at the bottom to GitHub's actual customizing your profile. And I'll make sure that we distribute, I'll share out the slide deck, or we'll find a way to get this slide deck shared out, because I do have some links that we're going to be looking at here in a moment. So the README file that is created in this repo is what you actually mark up. And because it is a markup file, you can do this pretty much any kind of markup stuff in it. And that includes even adding some HTML elements, such as like a P tags or H tags, image tags, and like divs. And like I said, you can use different editors and stuff for it. What I like about it is the HTML actually allows me to sort of position things a little bit. So you saw in that demo where I had those two boxes side by side, I actually had those inside of some HTML. Now, along with that, there are some really cool libraries. So here's a few little enhanced things. Some of these might look familiar to you. If you've ever looked at libraries inside of GitHub, you see the little badge things. But these are sort of the ones that we might use for our own project. And how do we get to some of those? Well, that first one you saw, the big one that says the GitHub Stats, well, that is part of this library here called GitHub Readme Stats. So let's take a look at this GitHub repo. And let's sort of, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but essentially you have some features that you can use with a set of markup where you can provide your information and be able to generate these kind of GitHub stats, and it'll pull your stats out. Now you can see that these are in a bunch of different colors. There's an entire theme library that goes along with this as well. And there's things that you can customize that you want to customize yourself. We'll sort of go through these in the demo. There is a few other cards you can add besides these kind of ones where if you wanted to go to a specific repo and sort of highlight it, they call them GitHub extra pins. So they allow you to pin more than 6 repositories to your profile, sort of put them above the list that you would normally see when you look at your profile. And there's also this thing called a top language card. And I'm just going down to the visuals here. Welcome. I haven't thought about using a README for the profile. Oh yeah, this is GitHub, right? GitHub's doing all of this. So what's cool here is you can actually list out, it'll actually figure out which languages you use the most, and it'll list them out. And you can even do a compact way. They have this thing called Waka Time Week Stats. And this will tell you how much time you've spent in like specific languages. So you can really go off the rails with some of the stats you can pull out of here. But it's a really good library, and we're going to use this in my demo here in a few minutes. We have this thing here called simple icons, and all of these are icon sets that you can use for some of your other libraries, but you can also download them in SVG and PDF formats. And you'll also see that they have color hexadecimal codes in there. So like if you want to look at, this thing's going to still loading. It's going to bring up Twitter, which is fine. So like if I wanted to look up like Twilio or Twitter, it actually has the default color for that icon or a text that you might want to use, which is kind of cool. But they have a whole search system in here, so you can go pretty off the rails. And you can use all of this stuff can be used in any Readme file in any project. But the good part is we're going to use stuff like this for our own profiles. Shields, this is these things right here that are in the angles. These are from the Shields deal here. This is what's used by a lot of those libraries that you look at that gives you, certain little stats about things in your project, where you can use these for your own. You can even create custom ones here. And they have a standard color set, plus you can use a hex color set. So let's say I want to do one that has to do with builds, right? So we're going to do build passing. You see these look from, some of these might start looking familiar now. You can actually put badges like this in your profile. So maybe I want to do socials. Well, you have GitHub followers. You can actually get the amount of followers you have, how many forks, repo stars. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do in here. Your channel subscribers, that was what I was showing here, right? This is my channel subscriber. Tells whether or not I'm streaming on Twitch, and it tells me how many followers I have on Twitter. And so, oops. Right here. So there's a whole bunch of cool little things you can do, and it tells you what the actual, some of the code is that uses it. So it's really kind of neat. You find one of these that you want, okay? Let's say I want this likes one on my video or something. If you click on it, you can actually put in your vid ID. You can actually pick which style you want. Maybe you want to change some optional stuff, and you can see the preview right here. What makes this unique is, and I'm going to pick a better one. This isn't going to work. Let's go with, well, we can still go with social. Let me just pick a different one. We'll go with the Twitter one here. So my Twitter user is a gamer tag that I have. And I could pick any one of these. Now, for the badge is the one that I like personally. And there it goes. And you can see how it renders it. And then you can try changing to different ones here. So maybe make it look like plastic. Maybe flat, which is kind of a more familiar style. Now, I don't know how well you guys can see this. So let me zoom this in a little bit more. So, and then there's the social version, which might look a little different. But I like for the badge because it makes it all look nice and big, and it really sort of stands out. But I can go into any one of these and change the color. Like if I wanted a logo, so this is for Twitter, right? So in the logo, I can simply say Twitter. And it should add the icon right next to it. I don't know how long it'll take before it'll render it. But that's where the simple icons come in form. So whatever the simple icon says, And if it doesn't do it here, then you can actually add it in on the code side. Now, when you're ready to get it, you can simply go to this drop down. Not only can you get the markdown directly, but you can also get the HTML if you wanted HTML. So either one of these will work for you. So if I copy the markdown, let me just, we'll just bring up Notepad. That's what it shows. You see it has an exclamation point with the square brackets, parentheses, here's the full URL, and then you have the style is for the badge. And so that's kind of cool. I like that. And I could simply paste that into my markup. Now, if I want to add those extra things to it, you go to the main page here. You kind of have to go past a bunch of stuff. And you can see here's how you can change your styles, right? So here's your for the badge. So that's the style that I'm using. But if I wanted to add that logo, I could simply come in and put in the name right here. So I take that part of it, and I just simply add our question mark here. Or no, I'm sorry, and. You add the and then you add in, and then right here you just change it to Twitter. And so if I render this, it will show the icon right next to it as it does here. So that sort of shields I/O in a nutshell as far as how it works. And we'll sort of play around with this a little bit when I do the demo. There's also the ability to use GitHub Actions. Now, there's a blog here that uses this Office API on his GitHub profile. And he had to use a GitHub action for it to work. So I'll go into his, he posted this earlier this year too. So he talks about using GitHub Actions. So you can use a GitHub action, and at the bottom of his, he has a random quote from the Office API right here. And that's all done with GitHub Actions. I don't have a demo set up for that one, but I wanted to just show you that you can use GitHub Actions, present whatever the parameters are for the API that you want, and you can get stuff to work. And going along with that, there's a number of people that made Spotify profiles, which are kind of cool. And so like this particular one will allow you to sort of show whatever you're playing. If you're listening to Spotify while you're working, for instance, if somebody comes into your profile, it'll actually show this in the profile of yours that basically lets them know what you're watching or what you're listening to on Spotify. That was kind of neat. This also, I think, uses GitHub, or well, actually it says running on Vercel serverless function. So there's a few things here on how to set that up. I don't have a demo because I don't use Spotify that much. So for me, it didn't seem like it was going to be valuable. But for people who use Spotify all the time, especially if you're listening to music while you're coding, this might be a cool little thing to kind of show off the kind of stuff that you're listening to. Now, there's some that will actually show like a collection of maybe playlists or something like that. So there are a bunch of, I would say a handful, maybe 5 to 10 different Spotify profiles out there that you can look at, but they all use some form of this Vercel serverless function because you have to get specific information from Spotify in order to use it. And I think they even talk about it down here. You have to get like very very specific things here. Yeah, client ID and secret. So you have to, there is a little bit of configuring that you have to do. This one actually uses Firebase, so in conjunction with that, so that's good. Using our stuff. So like as I said, we'll make sure that you get access to the slide deck somehow. Because that way you can get to the links. This one here is not so much of a library, but it's a curated list of people who have committed to this repository to show off their GitHub README files. So if you need some inspiration, there's an entire there's a couple of these out here that just lists a whole bunch of other people's README files. And yeah, so like the little previews, you can kind of see a preview of a few of them in here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make this stuff look pretty cool. So like little previews. So you can go as complicated or as simple as you want. Now the last one I'm going to show you on this screen here is not really something you can do in your GitHub profile. If you do content, live content creation on Twitch, there is an actual Twitch extension, especially if you're a coder on stream. You can actually put your GitHub profile in your description down below your Twitch stream. So people that come and watch you code live or games or whatever you're doing can actually see the stuff that you're working on. So it's kind of an afterthought, right? So this is something you add to your Twitch rather than the other way around. I thought it was kind of a neat one. I don't code. I am a Twitch streamer, but I don't code on stream that much. So, but if I started doing it a lot, I would probably put that in there. All right. So let's go back to full screen here. So there's a lot of cool things, and these aren't really the only things out there. There are a multitude of things, and then you can also put images. You can put them anywhere you want on there, position them using HTML or whatnot. So you can really go crazy with your GitHub profile. But then it's like, how do you want to use this for getting like jobs or just getting noticed on LinkedIn? You can actually add it to your profile. So you go into your LinkedIn accounts, and you have to go to yours to where, like, if you wanted to edit your stuff, there is a contact info link on there. So once you click on that, there is a pencil in the upper right corner where you can edit it. Okay. Inside there, you can actually, there's a button that should say add a website. And we're going to look at this because I'm going to put this on my LinkedIn when I'm done. Then you insert your profile, and then you click save, and you're good. So there's definitely a way that you can enhance your. Now I have probably 5 GitHub accounts, so I'm only going to put 2 of them on there. So my last slide is the demo, which is what we're going to get into here. So for those of you who kind of came in a little bit late, let me show you what one of these enhanced ones looks like. This is my instructor GitHub account that I use for my classes. I have a nice profile picture in here. I took some of those, I took the inspiration of the shields and sort of build those into my, I didn't take those from shields. I created them inside of Adobe XD, but, and then I added a little paragraph with some stuff. And then I used the GitHub Stats library, right, that we were just talking about. And you can see here, I teach mostly Java, C#, HTML, CSS. All right, but that's not the one we're going to work on. Whoops. Well, we'll deal with that in a minute. The one we're actually going to work on is my personal one. So as you can see, my personal one is pretty empty. I haven't done any coding on my personal profile for at least a couple of years. I get a little bit I've got stuff in other repos. I haven't worked on any stuff over here for a while. So if I want to open this up, I just need to go back so I can create my repo. So how does that work? So you start your repo out the same way you would any other one, but your repository has to be your name. So whatever the owner name says, right? So I say R. Odell Jr. And as soon as I do that, we get this little pop-up here. And I'm just going to sort of increase that so you guys can see. It says you found a secret special repository that you can add a README file to. Make sure it's public and initialize with the README. So it's public. Add a README. You don't need anything else really, because you're only going to have a few things in it maybe. And you don't need a license. It's fine. Boom, it gets created. And here I have my README, and here we have this hi there with an emoji icon. Now I can edit it from here, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is not where I'm going to actually do it from, but you can see it added some commented out code here with some icons in it, just sort of helping you sort of figure out what you want to put in there. I'm currently doing this. I'm currently learning that. So it's kind of neat. You got to put a few things in there. Not bad. But I'm not going to actually use GitHub to make my changes. I'm going to do this in VS Code. So it's time to, whoops, how about we go to there? It's time to clone it. So I'm just going to clone this real quick by HTTPS. And I use a program called Fork. I don't know if anybody else uses this, but I use this for all of my cloning. It just makes things easier for me. I'm going to put this in a different folder because that's where my students' stuff goes. This is personal code, so it goes in there. It automatically creates a folder for you, which is kind of neat. Yeah, Fork is great. I also use Source Tree, but I've been using Fork for the last couple of years. So there we go. It's all cloned. So I'm just going to minimize that. We'll open up VS Code, and hopefully you guys will be able to see this code. I might have to turn some stuff up here. I have way too much stuff in here. Let's see, personal code under my name. Let it do its thing. We can close the welcome message here. Now here's our README file, but I'm going to create another. I'm just going to go ahead and create a folder called images. Now I didn't get a chance to make my banner, so I might. I don't know. I'll have to figure out if I want to. What is this thing doing? No. Did I press on the wrong thing? It doesn't matter. Okay. So I'm probably just going to leave mine set with hi there for right now. And what I'll do for my own self here is just add a note. We'll just add a few little dashes there and say, whoops. Add banner when you have time. All right. So now that I left me a comment, I might want to add some kind of text about myself. Now I didn't pre-write anything, but what I might do is something very, well, probably something very similar to what I had on my other site here. Whoa, so I'm just gonna copy this just so we have something in there. I'll basically change it later. But okay, that's okay. There we go. Missing a dash there. So now we have this, and if I want to see what it looks like, I can come over here. Hi there. and there's some text, very straightforward. So I like having a preview window here too, because it kind of helps me figure out if everything's going to line up correctly. So what I want to put down here now is, and I'm going to be commenting, whoops, I'm going to be sort of commenting out as I go here. First, I want to put down, and I've already got some stuff sort of made here, sort of my languages. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these inside of a div. So I'm going to say div, and I'm going to align these center, which is a one that you can use. And I'll just put in a closing div right here. And so inside here, I'm going to be adding in different pieces. So now there's a few, like I said, there's a few different ways this can be done. So this is just one row that I'm going to be doing. And just to show you, I'm going to be using an image tag for one of these. And you're going to see it pop up in the display over there. So this is the shields, where I have the label, and you have to use the label side of it. The other side is sort of like, what do they call it? I have the notes here. Yeah, where's that one at? I'll give you a good, let me just add this in so you get a general idea. I'm going to put this up above it so you can kind of see. But you have a label and then you have a message. So this HTML CSS is the message side. You have to put something in the message or it won't render correctly. Now I'm using HTML, right? If I was to use, let's say, if I wanted to use something from like Markdown, this is what it looks like in VS Code. I'm not sure why it doesn't show. This is an enhanced preview. I think it's very specific to GitHub as opposed to any other Markdown. So for some reason, it just it doesn't render right, at least in all of the work that I've been doing, playing around with this. So that's why I'm using more of the HTML side, because I want to see it. So that way I know if it looks right. Otherwise, I'll end up doing a bunch of check-ins. Now we could go in here and we could probably put it in here and see if it works. But you know, I like doing it outside in the VS Code type area here. So I'm going to add a couple of more tags here. Let me make sure I'm at the right set here. So I'm going to add a few more into this div here. And what you'll see is everything is centered. All right, it's not left-sided. Like this one is left-sided because it's not inside of this div. But everything's nice and centered. Now, if I add in another one, it's going to add it into this row. So basically, I need to what I've done in my own notes is just created another one. Now we could probably create one div and do some creative stuff with it, but I'll let you guys sort of figure out how you want to work your specific ones. You'll also notice that I have to use these BR tags, and that's in order to give you space before. You notice that there's not really, if you don't put a breaking space in, everything is considered in line. So keep that in mind too. So I'm going to put another set of these in. So I have a few more. And these will go in between here. Now, because I have the divs in place, the divs actually do go in separate lines. So if you dived out everything, then you won't have to use the breaking spaces. So that's something to keep in mind. So I have 2 more rows to do. So I'm just going to sort of get these in place and oops. And if you have any questions about what I'm doing, we do have a Q&A section in here. If you guys if you wanted to post something in there, I'm sure Jay can assist if need be. Just sort of, I have 2 more rows of these things to add in. I sort of color coded mine to represent like different styles, if you will. And then I wanted to make sure that they sort of went from the widest down to the shortest. So the last set is just 2 badges for JSON and XAML. So if I was to push this, I'm not going to push it until I remove that. But then, you know, I'd have these in there. It looks kind of cool, kind of has a nice symmetry. I work in a very visual way, so to me, it's all about symmetry. Now I'm going to add I'm going to just move that stuff down at the bottom. I'm going to add a line break here, because the next we're going to work with those GitHub stats. So if I go back and we look at the GitHub stats, this thing right here that I was talking about, I'm just going to slowly go up to where I need to be here. You have this line right here. This line right here, the very first one, it says change the username value to your GitHub username. Pull back a little bit here. You can, if you click in here, you can see a little clipboard on the right side here. So I'm going to click that, take it back in here. If I paste this in, it's going to, obviously it's rendering it as markdown. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to, we're going to compare these between that one and this one. These are the same, except for I have my name in instead of his. So just do, but it doesn't matter because it just doesn't render. I'm sure there's probably a way or a plugin that I can use to make it render. So this is an enhanced preview. There's probably some kind of configuration setting in here somewhere that I need to set. But you can see I don't have a lot of commits because I haven't really done much. But they just, the only way this works is if we put it in to GitHub directly. So I don't know if you guys have a solution to use this as opposed to this way. You know, feel free to comment in. But I'm going to go with this variation. It's the same info, it's just done in the image tag. Now I'm also going to do the top language list. So I have to go down to get to it. Apologies for that. So the most used languages. So that one would be this one. And it says you can hide languages too. If there's certain languages you want to hide, you say language 1, language 2, so you could hide like the first 2 or something like that. But I have the image tag version of it that I'm going to put like right below here. Now, what's kind of neat here is I used the line tag, much of the way I have a line here. When I use it here, I say center, and what it does is it makes them both at the same level. So everything looks nice and even and sort of not one off. I mean, it'll look a little off down at the bottom, but these are the only 3 languages I have of code in this current system. But yeah, so that's that part. So anybody have any questions so far about where we're at here? I'm going to go ahead and take this label message part out up at the top. That one right there. Go back down again. But yeah, you can be as creative as you want. In fact, I think I'm going to add these. Let's go ahead and add these in right underneath this part. Just appreciating your markup abilities, giving me ideas of my own. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've done a few. Markdown is one of those things where I had to sort of practice it a little bit in a few areas, and I've learned a lot about different things you can do with markup. And there are markup guides out there. Of course, GitHub has them, where you can make things just look even more versatile than this here. I want to say that I have one in here that's way more styled as far as making it look like, I want to say I did it. Did I do it in this one? There's a couple of these where I started doing stuff in the Readme file, but I have to remember which one it was. But you can see I do a lot more over here. Maybe it was that one. No, that's an old class. I'll see if I can find it here. Oh yeah, I think it was Web Fundamentals. Not this Web Fundamentals, my other one. I have a couple of them in here. I'm terrible. Is it this one? One of these I was trying to be really, yeah, here we go. So this is where I was trying to go a little fancy. So like each lesson would have their own Readme file in it. And so I started making this thing look like you were basically writing a technical manual. So all of like these are things that you can do with markup. So if you wanted to like show off code, there's a specific tag for it. There's also ways to put tables in, and you can do all of this stuff in your GitHub profile. So it's not even just, you're not just limited to only README files in a project. Your profile essentially is a project. So there's a lot of cool little elements and things that you can add to sort of make your content look really good. This is more of a documentation style, like a book, as opposed to, what we're doing here, where we're sort of adding a bunch of colors and a bunch of statistics. So I have this stuff here. I am currently working on a future, if I can spell correctly, open source project. Currently learning Blazor server. These two, I don't really have anything to add at the moment. Ask me about anything. How to reach me. I don't know. We'll just do the first three. That's good enough. Don't need to go too far over the rails there. But there is some stuff I want to add, and that is my socials. Okay. So if you remember from the screenshots, I had those specific shield tags. So before I put those in, though, I'm going to have I'm going to use an H tag here to show that you can use H tags in your content. So I'll use the same align center here. And just say something like where to find me. And then, of course, have my ending H4 tag. Now, I'm sure there's probably a markup way of centering this stuff. I don't have time to dive through their stuff. HTML comes pretty easy. So we're going to have a div tag, just like we did on the ones up above. So I'm going to say align equals center. And this is where I'm going to add in. We're going to add in stuff like a badge, like what I have in the screenshots here. Let's go back to the slide. So you see these ones here where it says LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Well, not only are those shield badges, but you can also put them inside of an A tag. You can make them clickable. So how does that work? Well, let me just post. I'm going to paste the first one in just so you can see it. But essentially, you have your A tag. You put in your LinkedIn profile. You want to add some alt. It's always important to add alt text in. I probably have a few of them that I need to put in, so like I'm missing a few. But here's the same shield, static, just like all the other ones. And I'm going to turn this part off real quick. Let's spread this out a little bit. So you have a label that equals nothing. And the message says LinkedIn. The color is the exact colors that go to LinkedIn. Remember, we have those up in that Simple Icons website. And we're using the for the badge. And the logo is LinkedIn, which is the exact name that the Simple Icon uses, because that's how they use most of those. And then I just set the logo color to white, because I want to make sure that the logo color is set to the same color as the label color. So that way, when I have a preview of it, everything comes out white. And so you have this this A tag. So now in the preview, which it's not going to do it now. That's convenient. It didn't do it earlier. Let me try this other one. See if that one will render it correctly. Did I mess something up on the A tag here? Oh, wow. That's distracting. Hold on. Let's try it. Let's go back to the other one. All right. Am I missing something on my A tag here? href. No, I don't think so. I think line 41 is missing a closing quote. Oh, yeah. That might come in handy, won't it? There it goes. Now you can see the little hand right there. Yeah, demos are never perfect. I've had so many failed demos in my presentation career. It's crazy, including the pre-compiler at the Kansas City Developers Conference several years ago. I had a couple of them fail on me. well, no, not during the pre-compiler, but during a one of the 45-minute sessions, I had one sort of not work out for me. Anyway, but you can see here now that we have the little hand on there. So now if I was to click it, it'll go straight to my LinkedIn profile. So you can have these active link things, which can come in handy when you want to try to let people know where your stuff is. So if I wanted to add more tags in there, I can do that. And I do that by simply copying a bunch of these that I've already pre-made. And now I have all of my socials listed. My LinkedIn, my Instagram, my YouTube channel, gaming YouTube channel, my Twitch channel for live, and then people want to follow me on Twitter. So it's just a matter of just taking your time and trying to lay out everything. It's another reason why I like doing it this way, because I love being able to see these visuals, right? Now, if you wanted to use, let's say, let me scroll this down here. So let's say you wanted to maybe show off some of your same socials, but you kind of wanted them to be what they call interactive, as in they'll change, it won't change dynamically necessarily while you're on the page, but if you was to go back later or if you refresh the screen, it could change. And we can do this with some of these other versions of the Shield IO. So I'm going to create another div here, and I'll make sure to close the tag correctly, just like that. Oops. So I'll just put in a bunch of random characters instead. All right. So we'll start off with an H4 tag. So basically, in this case, I did it a little bit different. I'm actually doing it where I group all of it together. So two different ways, right? You can have two separate ones, either inside the div or outside the div using the same basic alignment. And here I'll say social status. And you can see now it's nice and centered. I probably should make that in all caps. Let's do that. Status. And in here we can add some of these more interactive style ones. Like, remember the Twitter follower one? Let's look at that one. So in this one, we have our Shield Twitter here. Let me close the preview real quick. So we have the Shield Twitter follow megazip style for the badge, local. So everything looks the same as these, except for this specific part right here is what drives through their library and says, let's pull back the numbers and let's put them in the message. So you notice I don't have the message in here at all. The message and the label are not there. And that's because this specific one is different than these, because these are static. This one's not. Right? So you can see that it pulls my Twitter followers out and puts it in the message section. Now I can wrap this thing around an A tag, and so if somebody clicks on it, they can follow me. Granted, I have it right there, so I'm not going to worry about making this one interactive as far as like touching it. But there are other ones out there that you can do. If you remember the screenshot I had, my YouTube subscribers one in here. Now the thing about these kinds of ones here, this one you have to go to your YouTube channel and get like a full-on this number right here in order for it to generate. Because remember, when I clicked on the thing, you have to supply it with information. This is what you got out of it. It's the same thing that I got out of here, right? When I pasted this one in here, when I made it, it gave me the Shield IO, the Twitter follower, basically the same thing, but in an image tag instead. So when you do the give me the HTML, it actually gives you this. And so what this does is it pulls my channel and tells me how many subscribers I have currently on my YouTube channel, which, considering 3 months ago I had 34, I'm making progress. That's all I can say. The last one I have in there is actually the one that tells anybody whether or not I'm live on Twitch. I'm not going to put it in there. It's not really relevant because it only works if somebody just happens to be in my Readme file when I'm live, and I'm only live like twice a week. So it doesn't really make sense for me to put it on there. But I did have it in this thing right here. As you can see, like the offline will switch to online whenever it's ready. You'll see here that we have like colors, the color schemes all match, which is kind of cool. You can see that they match here as well. And that's because the label color, which is this side, I have it set to white, and the logo I have set to red to make sure that the logo is correct. Because if I don't have those in there, then this looks completely different. I think that this looks red and that looks white. And just to show, let me take this out real quick. So if I take it out, then it does the inverse. It gives me the dark mode version, which wouldn't be bad, except for this is a dark background, which is the same thing as my profile. So it made sense to actually have it go with the white side of it, and then just make the colors match the actual icon color scheme. Now these actually match. These are the red, as opposed to this one, which I believe is the actual YouTube red color. So if I wanted this to match, then I would have to pull that color from up here, right here. So this is the official red, which is basically the generic red color. And this red is a sort of an off red color. You can see the contrast between the two of these. All right, so I'm done. I have everything. I have a placeholder for a banner, which I'll add later. It's time to check it in. So I've got one change, and that change is Readme. That folder is not going to do anything because I haven't put nothing in it yet. But if I was to put something in it, it'll actually, you would put the link to your banner. Basically, I put my banner in that folder, and then you link to it. I'll show you what that code looks like at my other one because I already have it. So I'm just going to stage this real quick. And I'm going to say, I don't know, my profile updated. I'll just keep it nice and simple. Now I can commit and then push. There's a 2-stage, or I can hit this drop down and just do it all in one action right there. And oh my, it's because I have, hold on one second. Oh, come on. I thought I had my SSH keys set up in this one, but I guess I don't. Where's the properties of this? Interesting how it won't let me connect. Okay, well, I'll have to fix that. Guess I'll have to fix that off the thing here, because it's not going to let me do it, which is strange. Let's see. Maybe I have something in here that I need to change. Well, that's because that's what I use this for. Okay, well, I'm not sure why it's not going to let me do it, but it just has to do with credentials, right? So if I try to push it, it gives me this error. It says permission to this is denied to my other name. The request URL returned to 403. So it won't let me push it because it's trying to push my other name up there. So yeah. And I don't think I can change that. So because it was committed by my other credential here. So it's okay. We'll just have to do it the other way. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's going to go in there. I'll just have to do it the old-fashioned way. I'll go directly to the source. So I could fix that off stream. So I'm not that worried about it. Oh, look at that. It's all there. Well, we're not done yet. So updated my profile. So I'm going to commit, pushing that change. It's all there. Now, if I go to my profile, there it is. Everything is here. The stats show up like this because I'm zoomed in. If I zoom out, okay. Somehow this is not lining up right here, so I'll have to figure out why it's not doing that. But you can see it's all here on my profile now. I can click on any one of these links here. I go straight to my Instagram. And there it goes, straight to my Instagram. Now, what I might do with these anchor tags is go back in later and set them to go to an external tab, second tab. You know, those are those anchor tag properties that we have to play with. But for right now, it's perfectly fine. So now that I have my profile, let me go to my LinkedIn. And you guys can feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. I'm at that 500 plus. I think I'm at like 800. I don't remember how. I got a bunch of connections. I don't even pay attention to the numbers anymore. It's just 500 plus. But you can see right here where I was talking about. Let me zoom in. Right here is where it says contact info. So here's your pop-up. There's the pencil that I described right here. I go in there, and here is your thing. This is where you can add all your other stuff in as well. I don't know how many of you know about this area and how much of this stuff that you may have done. But what we have to do is hit this add a website, which I think I can zoom in. Add a website. And now all I got to do is just copy my profile and put it in there. And then this, you can set it to other or personal or whatever you think the right one is, maybe portfolio. You may know a little thing about LinkedIn. There you go. So now it's set to my thing. I hit save. And now anybody who comes to that wants to look at my profile will see that I now have a LinkedIn on there. Yeah, I know a few things about it too. I've got tons of stuff in here. You can look it all over. But anybody who comes to my contact will see that I got, this LinkedIn profile, and then they'll see that I have this GitHub one right here. It says portfolio, and you can add as many as you want. So I have a second one. Remember, I have my my instructor one, right? So I can come here to my instructor one, and I can share this one as well. I can come in here. I can go into my LinkedIn. I can paste it in here. I can say that this is an other as opposed to portfolio. And now I have type other. instructor GitHub. GitHub. There we go. And there we go. So now I have 2. All right, man. Let's see. Is that you right there? Look at that. Bam. We're chained, man. We're chained. Look at that. Anyway. Yeah, we're chained, man. We are one and all for one for all. There we go. All right, that's my presentation. So do you guys have any questions that you want to ask me before we wrap this up? I was trying to keep this under an hour. I think I succeeded. I think we're right at close to an hour. Welcome back, Jay, as soon as your cam comes back on. There he is.
There we go.
All right, I'll stop sharing. So I think you want to bring up our other slide deck, right? This totally blew my mind at a potential. Oh, yeah. Now, there's so much cool stuff out there. And there are a lot of people that have blogs and stuff where they talk about these things extensively. So there are plenty of resources out there if you want to learn how to build your own. And I think you shared the slide deck, so we're good there too. Take it away, Jay.
Yeah. Well, nobody asked any questions. So thanks, Roger, for presenting that. Like you said, the slides are posted in the chat. I'll post it on our Slack. Not sure exactly if we can send a post email out with this new platform, but if we can, I'll try to do that. And yeah, if nobody else has any questions, thanks, Roger, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.